Hey, it's Cindy Wabi, and it's time for Monday's school, and it is also time for the holidays. And I am here at home today creating what I call Anyway Joy. What do I mean by that? Well, stick around and I'll tell you. Um, for many, many years during the holidays, I would say probably a good 20 or so years, I dealt with a lot of disappointment during the holidays. And the reasons for that aren't all that important to go into, but other than to say that, when you marry into or become a part of a very large extended family where there's lots of people and players and shirt tail relations who have demands and expectations and existing traditions, it's easy to get lost in all of that. And I found myself for many years dreading the Christmas time holiday. I felt like all I did was make accommodations and acrobatics, and I kind of approached it a lot how I would a big catering job or a big estate sale. I just buckled in and got it done. I said, I can just get through this. I've got my spreadsheet, my time worksheet, my plan, everything. I'll get it done. I'll get through this and get to the other side. And I would. I would create um, beautiful Christmases at our house for everybody but me. And I would end up on the 26th or the 27th, I'd wake up with a big cold sore and usually a splitting headache and a lot of disappointment. What's disappointment? Disappointment is, in a nutshell, it's an unmet expectation. It's a hope or a dream or an expectation that you had for somebody or something to happen or say or do something that didn't, and it didn't come to fruition. And the disappointment is that feeling you have, that hurt or that anger, or that emptiness that you have as a result of that. I'll tell you what else disappointment is. It's grief. Grief for a hope or a future that you were hoping for or dreaming of that isn't going to come true. It isn't going to happen. And that might be a certain type of family, a certain type of gathering, having all of your children together, all in one place, getting along and loving one another. It might be a dream of being remembered or thought of or considered, whatever that is. It's grief over the loss and the realization that that isn't going to come true. But Christmas should not be a season of shoulds and oughts. It really shouldn't. It shouldn't be a time of demands and expectations. It's really meant for something else. And I learned that lesson in a very tangible way a few years ago on Christmas Eve when I sat next to the bedside of a very dear friend who was passing away. And to be there in that very privileged moment as he passed from this life into the next was what I consider one of the greatest privileges of my life. And I experienced a pretty big paradigm shift on that particular Christmas. And it has stayed with me ever since. And I call it Anyway Joy, looking for the joy in spite of and anyway. And this Christmas, I'm not going to have my little people here. And as a matter of fact, I don't think we're going to have anybody here. And I'm not going to have my big 10-foot tree. And the nice Catholic boy isn't very happy about this little one that I've pulled out. So today, I'm going to do some work on the house and make it a joyful time and a joyful home for him to come home to. Anyway, there's so much to be disappointed in the world, the behavior of others, the political climate, just all sorts of things. But don't let that rob you of your joy at Christmas. Look for ways to serve others. Remember those who are forgotten and unloved and unwanted, or at least feel that way this year, and reach out to them in some capacity and fill your time with serving others and easing their suffering. That's where I have found the greatest joy of my life, more joy than under a Christmas tree. And I hope that if you are experiencing some level of disappointment this year, particularly this Christmas, that you will choose joy anyway. Merry Christmas. Take care. Bye.